We have a bulletin just received.
I've never encountered anything like this world.
Project 3, Visual Storytelling. In this project, we'll explore narrative video and visual storytelling. Since the beginning of civilization, and probably before, people have told stories. Perhaps the oldest form of art, it is a natural human impulse to make sense of life's occurrences and define their personal meaning in the form of a story. Long before electronic media, humans gathered around a campfire in storytelling circles, listening to master storytellers spin a narrative that reflected things that were important in their lives. Storytelling is most likely the world's oldest art form, and yet it is a crucial part of the digital revolution in the 21st century. Storytelling is important because we can tell our story. In the time that we live in, it's easy to create and share video and other methods of storytelling on a global scale. Storytelling is also important because we should tell our story. We can tell stories that reflect our interests, abilities, and beliefs. To varying degrees, of course, narrative can be crucial to every form of visual art. Also, as we discussed in the introduction to this course, originality and creativity are among the most valuable commodities of the 21st century. In order to tell potential employers why they should hire us, we must tell them what makes us unique. We must tell them our story. In fact, for many companies, video resumes are replacing or supplementing traditional resumes as a way of finding potential employees. So, mastering and exploring visual storytelling is not only an art in and of itself, it can also be part of our promotional materials that help to enable us to make our art. A story is different than real life. A story is not the same as real life. In order to accurately reflect a truth about life, an insight gleaned from our daily existence, we have to frame and focus. Just as we would when we compose a photograph, we determine borders that frame and define our subject matter. Think for a moment of an important event. Something of great importance that happened to you. It can be good or bad. Think for a moment of how you would relate that story to somebody else. I was doing this, then this happened, and it caused this other thing. I responded this way, and my life was forever changed in a certain specific way, and as a result, I now, etc., etc., etc. In real life, of course, while important events are happening to us, we are also eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, going to work, driving, having phone conversations, and many other activities that are unrelated to the important life-changing event that is occurring. If we were to tell someone the story of our life-changing event, we would not mention all the times we went to the bathroom unless it was relevant to the story. It is not dishonest to leave out these events. We assume that you were using the bathroom during the time that your story took place. We do not mention it because it is not important to the story and in fact takes away focus from the story and lessens its impact. A story then is different than real life. In order to reflect a truth about life, a story needs to have focus. Every element of the story must exist because it works in support of the story. Otherwise, it's a distraction that lessens the power of your story. A story is not real life. It's an art form that expresses the meaning behind life's events as defined by the artist. An occurrence is not a story. When I'm discussing storytelling in my classroom, one of the most difficult tasks is to get everybody to understand the difference between a story and an occurrence. One of the reasons for this, I think, is the advent of YouTube and other user-created video sites. I think these sites are amazing and important, but a side effect of digital user-created content in a global community is that someone can post a video of someone who is accidentally hit in the crotch with a baseball bat or has a kitten falling off a shelf and breaking everything in the room, and they can get a massive global audience that rivals network television. Because of this, I believe that the ideas of occurrence and story have blurred a bit for your generation, assuming you're a young person. Story is so important to our time that I do not want you to leave my class without mastering the idea of digital storytelling. If someone knocks on the door and I get up to answer it, how much longer are you going to be? I'll be about an hour. That is an occurrence. That is not a story. If something bad happens and I get mad, that's an occurrence. It is not a story, even if I exaggerate my reaction in the video and I'm breaking things and throwing stuff around the room and it's really funny and I post it online. If we are to tell a story that makes people care what happens in it, it has to be difficult for the protagonist, the hero, to do what they're trying to do. They have to encounter resistance and then ultimately overcome the resistance in a way that makes sense for the characters as we have defined them. A story is about a journey, literally or figuratively. It's about a struggle to overcome adversity. The heroic journey. The heroic journey is a term that is often used when discussing story. In fact, you could say that the heroic journey is the story. In order to tell a real story, you need 3 parts. Part 1, the protagonist, hero, is introduced and encounters a problem. Usually it is a problem that they are not particularly equipped to handle, creating potential for struggle. Part 2, things get worse. The hero tries to solve the problem, but new elements are introduced that make things even worse. Part 2 is the struggle. If we do not have this second part, it goes back to being an occurrence. Part 3, the hero rises to the occasion. The struggle has changed them, or given them some insight, or given them courage or determination that they did not possess before. They use these new insights to solve the problem. It's important that this solution is organic, meaning that it seems like it's possible for the solution to have come from that person, from the hero, given their abilities and their personality as they've been defined by the story, even if it is surprising. The heroic journey defines the story. It is the world's oldest art form, and it is a crucial aspect of so-called new media, and telling your story is urgently important in the 21st century creative economy. No student should complete their education without learning to tell a story. Watch TV. Watch TV. Watch movies. Even documentaries are usually structured as a story arc. Identify the heroic journey in the story that you're watching. In this journey, the protagonist, the hero, might not even be particularly heroic, and the story might not end in a particularly positive way. But anywhere you find a story, you find the heroic journey. Storytelling language for video. There's a lot more to it, of course, but I'm going to give you a crash course on 3 basic types of shots with a few variations that are used in visual storytelling for film and video. Long shot or establishing shot. The long shot establishes context or location. It shows us where we are, like, say, the Cleveland Institute of Art in a computer lab. Mid-shot. A mid-shot might literally show characters from the waist to the top of the head. It establishes characters and character relationships. Who is in our movie? What are they like? How do other characters in the movie feel about them? A 2-shot is a specific type of mid-shot with 2 people relating to each other. An over-the-shoulder shot is a type of 2-shot often used during 2 people talking. The shot is filmed over the shoulder of one person while the other person is talking. Then when the other person speaks, it can switch to a new shot over the shoulder of the first person. Close-up. A close-up focuses our attention on something important. It might be an emotional reaction. It might be used to focus the viewer's attention on a crucial detail. Sometimes this may be an occurrence that we notice, but people in the story do not. A variation of the close-up is the extreme close-up. Close-ups are very important in directing the attention of the viewer and are often overlooked by students who are first-time filmmakers. Not getting close enough on important details or reactions is one of the main things that causes students to have to go back and reshoot. It's important that you understand how to use these shots. They are time-honored visual cues of filmmaking. They help us to understand what is happening in the story. Storyboards. When you are shooting video, each storyboard panel represents a shot that you need to film. During editing, these shots are pieced together one after another to tell your story. Storyboards are a way of designing the shots that you need ahead of time, including who and what is included in the shot, how close and from what angle. These shots have the responsibility of being well composed as in Project 2, but they have the additional responsibility of propelling the story forward in a clear and interesting way. Don't cut corners with your storyboards. Students sometimes feel that they can skip or do a half-baked job on their storyboards until they find out that they don't have the shots that they need when they're editing. Refine the storyboards first. Think things through ahead of time. Act out your story in your head. Act it out in real life. What do you need to tell the story? How do you show the viewer what is important? What angle should you shoot the scene for clarity and for effective emotional impact? How can you tell the story in an interesting way? What shots are best as still shots where the camera doesn't move? Which shots are better as pans where the camera moves from one location to another? Which shots should zoom in for emotional effect or zoom out to reveal something? Map out your storyboards ahead of time. They don't have to be beautiful, but they have to clearly indicate the shapes and content of your shots. Stick figures are not helpful. People aren't shaped that way. If a hand and an arm are included in your storyboard, think of them as shapes, compositional elements for your design, and place them accordingly. Every shot in your movie should start as a storyboard panel. You should be able to use your storyboards as a shot list. I need this shot, then this shot, etc. A 1-minute movie might need 20 or 30 storyboards. When you are filming, allow time to get all of the shots on your storyboards. Film each shot at least 3 times so you can select the best shot. If you film everything just once, then you're stuck with what you've got. Being well prepared with your storyboards doesn't mean that you can't also experiment and try a 4th take in a really wild and spontaneous way just in case it works. But it's still important to get all of the shots on the storyboards. Your storyboards are your foundation. Doing them right will make your work much more professional. And by professional, I mean clear and interesting. The iPad as a movie camera. You can use your iPad as a camera for this project. iPads shoot full 1080p high-definition video. Other cameras are okay too, as long as they shoot high-definition 1080p video. Important tip. If you film with your iPad or other mobile device, make sure that you hold it horizontally to film so that it is in the proportion of video. Otherwise, you'll be making movies that are large black bands with little vertical strips containing your movie in the middle. No. Yes. Tripods. Although many students are able to complete their entire movie just holding their devices in their hands, we do have several tripods available for checkout, including iPad tripods. These can give you more professional results for long, steady shots. You can also invent ways to make smooth, moving shots. Have someone push you in a moving chair or skateboard. Use your imagination. Lighting. Video can really be harmed by shooting in a poorly lit area without additional lighting. When you are making a movie, try to shoot outside or in well-lit locations. If you're filming indoors, you may want to use additional lighting. You can use clip-on reflector lights, such as the kind used in drawing classes. When you are lighting a subject, you can hold up an inexpensive sheet of white foam core to bounce light onto the subject and fill in deep shadows. Just hold the foam core off camera on the side opposite the lighting source. We also have lighting available for checkout. Three-point lighting. Three-point lighting is a standard lighting technique. As the name implies, it involves three lights. The first is the key light, which is the main source of light in your scene. The second light is the fill light. This light is placed on the other side of the scene, and it might not be quite as bright as the key light, the main light. The fill light is used to fill in, control, or lessen the dark shadows created by the key light. The third light is the backlight. The backlight shines on the actors from behind, helping to highlight and separate figures from the background. Three-point lighting is a good starting point, but different scenes call for different lighting. If you're making a 1940s style detective movie, you might want to just have a single light that generates deep shadows. Be alert and use your imagination. Lighting is one more tool to increase clarity, style, and emotional impact in your story. Video editing. Video editing is a subtractive, multi-step process. Get the basic edit first, then worry about timing and refinement later. Search through your video footage for the best take of each scene in your storyboard. Drag them into your video timeline one after another in the order that they appear. Then, refine your story over several passes. Constantly fix little things, adjusting timing. Improve your film gradually over time. Get a friend who's unfamiliar with your movie to watch it. Do they understand what is happening? Are they reacting like you want them to? It's easy to lose objectivity when you're watching something over and over again. So fresh eyes are important. Timing is crucial. Shorten scenes that are simply to get the character from point A to point B. Linger on what is important and let the moment last. Important moments include crucial details in your plot, the payoff for a humorous occurrence, or a poignant moment with emotional significance. Understanding that something is happening is different than feeling it or caring about it. Giving us an extra moment to process something important can make a big difference in how we react to your movie. Use variety in editing when appropriate. Long, static shots can be punctuated by short, quick edits, or moving shots to add variety or excitement. Color correction. Color correction has two parts. Part one is color correcting for clarity and consistency. In this stage, you'll apply filters to individual clips during editing. If something is too dark, you'll make it lighter. If the color is more saturated or less saturated than other clips, or it's more orangish or bluish in color temperature, adjust them to make them more consistent. Once you've completed color correcting for clarity and consistency, part two is to give your film an overall look. Again, watch films and TV shows. Some will be bright and colorful, some warm and orangish, and some will be desaturated and stark blue-gray. Some will be well lit with minimal shadow, and some will be dark, shadowy, and foreboding. Color is another super important tool for enhancing and reinforcing the overall look of your film. Sound. In your project, which we're about to get to, you will be creating a silent film with only music and sound effects to enhance and support your visuals. If in the future you're making a film with dialogue, I'll simply say to make sure that it's recorded really well. There's an old adage in film that good sound is more important than good visuals, and it's very, very true. Nothing takes you out of a film or video more than distorted sound or dialogue that's hard to understand. Your assignment. As always, see the assignment sheet and the instructional video for details. But basically, your assignment is to create a 1-minute movie about something that makes you mad. It can be something big or something little and annoying. But I found that if I ask people what makes them mad, it's easy to think of a topic and get the creative juices flowing. The 1-minute movie should tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, the 3-part heroic journey. It should be told with no dialogue, no talking. You'll add sound effects and/or music in a way that complements and enhances the visuals. We have a series of instructional videos that will take you through the whole process. Our next video includes some student solutions for this project.